Good evening, guys. Come on in. Come on in. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. We have a big show. It's a recap that Nancy, it's going to be like War and Peace a little bit. But we're going to catch you guys up. And in this whole saga, I really didn't get mad. I mean, because, we're journalists, we're professionals here, right? We try not to get emotional. I didn't get emotional until I read your piece in American Thinker last week.
Oh, that's good and bad, I guess.
It really, really pissed me off.
Yeah. Not priorities.
Yes, not going to lie. So, here we go. So we began September 13th. We posted, look, Pitt County, they had this training. They didn't have this training, to be clear. ECU has a teacher training that teachers, principals can opt into. A principal went. It was focused nonstop on sexuality. Now, today we got the slides, so we're going to show you that. It really was focused on sexuality. Then we found out folks at the ECU Medical School that have just started this pediatric gender clinic that does hormone therapy, dangerous hormone therapy. Then we find out they're connected. Then we had a bunch of people denying it. Now, you know that we don't post stuff unless we've got the FACTS first. So we had recordings that we had to drop on them. And then we do it one time, they think it's slup. Second time, that was yesterday. Gender clinic. So we recorded a conversation really where they were like, and I'm not joking, they basically said, you want a gender affirming care for your fictitious 13-year-old son? You got a heartbeat and a wallet? Come on in. And that was it. And so here we are, right? We are with ECU offering a teacher training. Now, you don't have to go to this teacher training, but they're offering a teacher training that they told us was just, hey, about tolerance and love. And we get the copies and we find out tolerance of everyone but heterosexual people.
Right.
So it's as bad as we thought it was, but a little worse. Should we cut to those slides now, Nancy?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So this is just slides. By the way, one more thing. Let's zoom in here. We, after a battle royale with ECU, finally got them to produce the documents from our record request. We had to get legal, to be honest with you. And we got the presentation that I'm about to show you, some of the slides. It says redacted. Yeah. So the way that public records work is this, is that this is a government funded program, federally and state funded. They have to produce the documents. They're not allowed to redact it unless it's like a piece of health record, a private citizen's name. We think they're redacting the medical aspect of this training. That's what they think. That's what we think it is. But it's bad enough what they're actually doing. So this safe zone training provided at ECU, and their goal is to really train all of the teachers, principals, and counselors in the eastern part of the state how to do all this stuff. You see it right there. To heighten the awareness of LGBTQ issues in school. K through 12, why in the hell should the issues of sexuality be raised in school? And to reduce heterosexism and cis sexism in school. We had to look this up.
I just think it's funny. Go back to the slide again. I'm sorry. I might be giggling kind of through this.
We have gallows humor around here, guys. I'm not going to lie. We really do.
The second bullet point, the bullet points you pointed out in all seriousness are crazy. But the second one, it says, to illustrate East Carolina University's commitment to address all types of diversity. Like, what are all types of diversity? A diverse array of diversity? Like, I'm sorry, it's just and then it says to provide support specifically for LGBTQ students. But you just said you were going to address all types of diversity, but now you're only going to address one type of diversity. It's just it's just so silly. Like, they try to make it sound so official and so important and loving and tolerant and stuff, but it contradicts itself and it doesn't even make sense. Sorry.
The white male, probably Christian, I can speak from experience, Jew, that's who's in their crosshair, or so we thought. But these programs focus look at Pitt County in general. The Pitt County school system, mostly minorities, 70% minorities in that district. Low income. So I would argue that they're targeting the black females.
Well, they're certainly making all heterosexuals out to be bad, which isn't very tolerant.
No, it's not great for population. I mean, look, as you pointed out in your article, the birth rate is going down. This is between putting Planned Parenthoods, I guess, around and these clinics. There you go. So foundational concept, as if it weren't bad enough. Their objective, they're hammering the hell out of this.
Yeah.
Heterosexism and
cissexism.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, I will put a hyphen there, but
okay. So what this is it's called straight privilege.
Right. Yeah, no, we saw the same thing. There are lists of privilege now. The common privilege one you come across is Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack or something like that by Peggy McIntosh from the late 90s, which goes through all the reasons why you should feel guilty if you are white. And that was bad enough. But then, at the governor's school documents, they had several different lists of privilege, including intelligence privilege or gifted privilege or something. And they're at the governor's school. I mean, they're gifted kids. Anyway, but yeah, they had like heteronormative privilege, and so again, it's just more evidence that they're dividing everyone up into groups and categories and then trying to, well, I guess they like to say deconstruct or assign people all certain things, assign these groups, vagaries that they should feel ashamed or guilty about. It's a manipulation tactic. It's devious and it's gross.
It's disgusting. This is the most disgusting training that I've ever seen, besides the preschool training to do whiteness for the disabled preschoolers a year ago. Okay, so this is disgusting. ECU has completely downplayed this. The principals involved have downplayed this. I made it very clear. Republicans are chief among those downplaying this, including the principal, the first principal, the Farnborough principal that went to this and loved it, etc. She was a registered Republican. A couple of council members that are registered Republicans thought I was mean and nasty and blah, blah, blah. So I have to tell you, again, you guys, this is first day of early voting, right? You need to make it damn clear. We expect you to end this program. When you're denying it, that's the first step of something's wrong.
Right.
You cannot deny it because I've got it right in front of you.
Yeah.
This is not something that belongs in K through 12. I want to stress again, this is opt-in. Teachers can go to it. We're going to tell you who's involved that you need to be aware of in a minute, because it may not be as simple as what we say. Okay. Helping with coming out. This pisses me off.
Yeah. Well, the second one is, it says, follow their lead. That's indicative of gender affirming care, meaning whatever they say is right and there's no argument. The immediate affirmation style model of gender dysphoria, say, or whatever. There's no discussion, which is dangerous because you could be looking past either other mental health issues or a past history of trauma or something that is manifesting itself as these feelings about your own identity. Or, maybe there's confusion there, like the child is saying, or the adolescent is saying, they want to be the other gender when actually they're gay or whatever. But the immediate affirmation model has several problems, and it ignores a lot of other issues. And teachers, while certainly can be very supportive and be mentors, are not trained medical professionals. So to say they have to follow the child's lead right away and that's the way you handle it, I'm not so sure that that's correct.
Even trained medical professionals are full of it and don't know what they're doing and are dangerous and are experimenting on children, as we have reported at ECU.
Yeah. So, I had a problem with that second bullet point on that slide.
Yeah, absolutely. The respect confidentiality. I'm telling you right now, that does mean parents. They're going to try to argue differently, but just believe me.
I agree. I think that needs some explaining as well.
We're going to get answers. The truth about gender identity. Here's something that you're hitting on. Gender identity is an inherent concept of the innermost concept of self. How they perceive themselves and conceive of themselves. I want to tell you this. Now we're in my lane of expertise. This is called ego when you look at the psychodynamic theory of personality. And ego is fleeting. It's sort of like this. If you project something on the wall, right, the ego is the projection that isn't actually real. The projector is real. It has object continuity, right? That's real. The projection is the ego. And so when you are talking about a permanent solution for a fleeting ego, a part of the ego, which is transient, big problems. So we know that this training is connected to ECU and the brand new gender clinic for children. And that's very troubling. So the concept, Nancy, that this is the concept of self. It influences every part of one's life. I mean, okay. It's fluid. It may change over time. Exactly what I just said. If gender identity is fluid and ECU admits it right here, tell me why they have a pediatric sex change clinic.
Yeah, that's what I don't get, is if it's fluid. And on top of that, not only is it fluid, but like 80 to 90% of kids who may have gender dysphoria end up like progressing out of it or growing out of it, whatever the term is that you want to use. So it's not only fluid, but it can also be transitory. So yeah, why treat them with medications that some pediatric endocrinologist label is permanent? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, the FDA also says it's permanent. And I'm going to go over that article in a second. The FDA agrees with us. The American Academy of Pediatrics agrees with us. France, Finland, Switzerland, and the UK agree with us. And finally, detransitioners agree with us. So we are not alone in saying that these drugs cause sterility, permanent changes. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. So, they're arguing against their own clinic. And I'm telling you this.
I'm sorry. I just want to interrupt you 1 second. The last bullet point I find interesting as well, because it says if you met one trans person, you've met one trans person, meaning, that person is an individual, which makes total sense. I agree with that. So then why are they speaking on behalf of all LGBTQ community? If they're saying this is the facts and this is how it has to be handled and et cetera, but we know that not all people in the LGBTQ community agree with this, and they're all individuals.
Most don't.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying is I just find when I went over some of these slides earlier and going through these bullet points, like there's so many points that you can pull out that are completely contradictory to what they've just said in the previous slide. You know, homosexual, or what did they say? Heterosexuals are oppressive, but trans people are individuals. So it doesn't make any sense.
No, well, none of it makes sense. And if you question it, you're a transphobe, right?
Right.
And there you have that. All right. So your article came along, which scared the hell out of me. A couple things is really going to make you mad, people, is this. We gave $215,000.
Million.
Sorry. Billion?
Yeah.
Wait,
Million.
Million. Okay. I want to be very accurate. We're dealing in numbers. So
yeah, there's a lot of numbers in this article.
You guys know how I am. So we just gave 215 mil to the program and to the Brody Medical School program for them to do something really nice, and that's to improve rural health. Right after that, they turn right around and open up this this program. And actually, in the article for this pediatric gender change program, they're saying, yeah, we want a whole new building for this. And we are not only paying for the surgeries to be done because in North Carolina, Medicaid will pay for that. Okay. We're also paying for a brand spanking new building, part of which will probably end up going to this demonic program. Another thing that scared the hell out of me, sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right.
You're a Duke trained general surgeon.
UNC, yeah.
UNC. Okay. Duke undergrad. Okay.
Right.
So you're looking at this and saying, wow, dude, this is crazy. This is not the proper training. A pediatric endocrinologist is going to, that's okay. We don't like it, but that's at least they're trained to do that.
Yeah. That's the thing I picked up on with this one that's different from a lot of the other ones. And I think even Vanderbilt, like you mentioned in your story, Sloan, and I think everyone probably in this community has heard by now about Vanderbilt having shut down their surgeries after the exposure of Matt Walsh. And I went and looked at Vanderbilt's pediatric gender clinic and trying to figure out who staffs that. And from what I could tell, it looked like pediatric endocrinologists as well. So, I mean, everyone was outraged about this. And even Vanderbilt had pediatric endocrinologists. But here we don't even have that. We have primary care physicians who have done some peds electives and granted have been, I guess, took the boards for general pediatrics, but have no additional training. And not only that, but don't even have any research in the field of endocrinology or hormone therapy or whatever you want to call it. And so I just don't understand that. And not only are they trying to do it, but their goal is to have it infused throughout primary care so that any family practitioner, any medical internist, any pediatrician without any additional training can just go ahead and set up shop for a gender change clinic for all ages.
Like they did with oxycodone.
Yeah, exactly. Like with opioids, normalizing this throughout primary care in kids. And it's funny because some of the woke institutions, ironically, the ECU, I found this out since the article, the ECU dean, the dean of the medical school, is on the board of the AAMC, which is what I quote the statistics from in that article about the doctor shortages. They're actually going to need fewer pediatricians in the future compared to doctors who care for adults because the population of adults is going to completely surpass that of kids. So the fact that ECU, which prides itself on being, a primary care training institution that is rural healthcare, that needs to bring more basic medical services to rural health communities in the state of North Carolina, is going to try to bring pediatric gender change to primary care when the stuff isn't even approved by the FDA and it's off-label and there's no real good information or studies, is illogical to me. Well, and how the dean got on board with this, I don't know.
Well, it's absolutely irresponsible. And by the way, the lawyers are going to be going into a feeding frenzy very soon.
I don't.
Let me point a couple of things out. I pointed this out in our objection to Sherry Beasley, saying that she wanted taxpayer funding for Black children to have these operations. You need to know that there's a lot of detransitioners out there that say, yes, we are sterile and we have ruined our lives. Puberty blockers for children can cause mental illness, according to the American Academy for Pediatrics. It can click off schizophrenia or bipolar. That is a lifelong debilitating disease. The FDA says two things. Number one, we do not approve of usage of puberty blockers in children. It is off-label use. They have a black box warning on Lupron for suicidality and other things. Look it up. Also, the FDA this summer said, look, we're getting a massive amount of adverse events of brain swelling and vision loss. Can you imagine? Can you imagine this? I mean, look, Accutane for acne is a drug that causes problems along this scale. And you have to have a blood test before you take it and during every month. Yeah. Every month. It's very lock and key, last resort. And they're giving this out like candy. FDA's issued warnings. European nations have issued warnings. I mean, the stuff is highly dangerous and it absolutely causes sterility. In fact, why don't you guys, you naysayers, which I had some on my Facebook page that couldn't tell me one lie I was saying, go to Duke and go to UNC Pediatric Gender Change Clinic. Go to their clinic. They will say on the website that everybody who goes through the hormone treatment, puberty blockers, etc., like they do at ECU, they will talk about options to preserve their fertility. Why would they do that, Nancy? And you're the doctor.
No, they would do that because there's a risk of losing the ability to have children. So they need to talk about options to potentially cover that if that were to happen. And it must be a significant if they're going to talk about it.
Exactly. So what ECU is doing, it's evil and wrong. It's evil and wrong, and we are going to stop it. We're well on our way. We are hearing from donors, to former donors and alumni all over the state. They're pulling their donations from ECU. We want to strip them off completely.
Yeah.
We want the funding gone.
I want the legislature to hold them accountable. I want the ECU dean of the medical school and Biden health CEO held accountable. And I want the chancellor held accountable because he sat through that convocation there, listening to this without a problem. And it's pretty scary. Where are the adults in the room here?
There needs to be adults in the room. And I just want to say, some of the loudest people against this happen to be gay people. Here's why. Gay people are being targeted for extinction through this program. They are absolutely being targeted because here's why. A lot of time, I think there's a lot of research on this. I can't point you to exactly what it is, but when identity development starts and children are attracted to about 16, attracted to members of their same gender. What this movement says is, yeah, you feel like a woman now, don't you? Yeah, I guess I do, based on the attraction alone. And then what this movement is saying, you don't have to be gay anymore. You can be trans. It is okay to be a gay male. It is okay to be a gay female. You do not have to change your outward manifestations of your gender. So, and I want to get to this. Let me tell you who's doing this. She's in our crosshairs. This woman is fake as hell. I just watched a presentation with her. Pitt County Parents for Public Schools. She was a facilitator. They back school board candidates. This is a school board candidate who is the contact for this program, Kelly Weaver, and hear me loud. We will defeat you, Kelly Weaver. Gird your loins. This woman is one of the facilitators for this program. I've heard her speak. Sugar wouldn't melt. She's like a robot. We accept all children. We accept all children. Stop messing with people's children. Stop it. That's what she's doing. She's trying to mess with other people's children.
If you accept all children, then teach them, educate them, get them up to reading and math standards, make them successful, potentially more successful for later life, you know, give them the education they deserve. Don't worry about, you know, homosexual or heterosexual oppression and all of this vagary. Like, give them an education. Stop the queer ideology.
Yes, absolutely. The Brooklyn Way is making some excellent points here too. Kelly Weaver is running for school board. She is a fake robot. I have seen her speak. She is full of it. She is a facilitator for this program. She wants to bring clinics into Pitt County schools. This is the bombshell. Kelly Weaver wants to put clinics in the schools. We know what the schools are going to do. We know.
Yeah.
Emma, you're exactly right. Absolutely. Can girls be girls and boys be boys? And if they are girls that are gay, that's fine. Boys that are gay, that's fine. Or girls that like to play baseball, that's fine, etc. What's going on is so homophobic and so anti-woman. It's like, it's plain as the nose on our face. This is a homophobic movement. I said it. Kelly Weaver, you're a homophobe.
Yeah, and it's important. I think that's a good point. Like the relationships between girls and adolescents or boys and adolescents, part of that is exploring those relationships and exploring the interactions and the friendships and that type of thing. And if you interfere with that and say, hey, you know, you really like to hang out, you're a girl and you really like to hang out with a lot of girls and you're a star athlete and have short hair, whatever, the tomboy thing, maybe you're a boy, that's interfering with that process, inserting that type of, again, this gender ideology stuff, and it harms that development.
This is a bigoted movement. It's a sexist movement. It wants to eliminate the people they purport to help. Okay, made possible by, we're going to go after them, by the way, the College of Education. We want it. I want state funding out of it. Jesse Peel Center, I want funding out of it. All this stuff, I want funding out of it. God, I dare you to call me homophobic. I dare you. I am no such thing right now. I'm going Stonewall, baby, right here, right now. This is a Stonewall movement to stop this from stopping children from being castrated, mutilated.
Yeah, and politically indoctrinated too, because there's certainly a political agenda as well, which shouldn't be supported with tax dollars either. The sexual agenda is worse, the sexualizing children, but you know, it's not like they're politically neutral either.
No, objectives, I've already shown you that. History, blah, blah, blah. This is foundational concepts.
Do you have a Zodiac one? Is that one on here?
Oh, yeah, it is. Nancy's hung up on this.
I get hung up on the words.
Look, can you imagine going around the room and telling everybody your name, your pronoun, your signs? And I told Nancy that
Zodiac sign, what's that doing there?
Zodiac signs are the next frontier in intersectionality.
Oh my gosh.
I'm a Scorpio.
Well, I guess if someone doesn't have the ram, because I'm Aries, they don't have the ram on their desk or something. I'm not accepted.
The ram is a phallic symbol. Nancy, we need to go and scrape your breasts off and put penis on you.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's a
Scorpio?
You're really taking that. I mean,
I'm running with it.
Unless there's like a recording and that was just, they kind of stuck that in there as a joke. I'm a little bit.
But okay, I'm sorry. And Barbie, you're making a good point too. And yeah, I know. The Brooklyn way. Okay. She's getting embarrassed for me. All right. I'm telling you, the zodiac signs, I bet money, are the next frontier in intersectionality. And if you've got Scorpio privilege, you're going to be on the chopping block, baby.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Can you imagine? What's Cancer? Cancer is probably taboo. Oh, wait a minute. Pisces. That's a big problem. Okay. Okay, I'll stop. So they're defining all this helpful terms. Is it helpful or is it bull? Anyway, sex is a medical term. Oh,
it's not assigned at birth. It's not assigned at birth.
That reminds me, if it's a medical term, why are you doing medical shit to people to change their gender? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I'm just like, what does this have to do with K through 12 education? This has nothing to do with it.
Of course not. And Kelly Weaver knows it. And Kelly Weaver knows it. Kelly Weaver, school board, Pitt County, she's going down. We're going to make her lose. Gender identity. Person's deeply felt inherent sense of being. I deeply feel like I'm 22 years old. And if I could get insurance to pay for surgery that will reflect that, I think life would be better.
Well, they're teaching this as fact. It's not fact.
Yes.
It's a theory that came out of academia that is on the fringe, of academia and became mainstreamed. And they're not even teaching it as a theory. They're teaching it as fact. And there's so many people and so many academics and whatever else that disagree with these,
Yeah.
And but your principle is going to be this makes no sense.
Orientation versus identity. I mean, this is, by the way, you're looking at a program. ECU. What has happened to you, dudes? This is horrible. ECU
training.
This crap. Yeah, Kelly Weaver, paging Kelly Weaver, Miss Sweet and Sickening Sweet Robot, Democrat. This is the
kind of training they were putting up there, talking about at the convocation.
Well, with the chancellor sitting there, the chancellor of ECU he's got to go.
What?
Okay. I want to tell you this, guys. The court has enshrined the right, Supreme Court on down, repeatedly for parents to control where, when, and how their children learn about sex and sexuality. This is breaking the law. Yeah. And in Emma, that's interesting because now in North Carolina, Emma, I'm going to tell you a couple things. Number one, Medicaid pays for these hormones, which are a couple thou a month. And then the state employee health plan.
You know who's very interested in expanding Medicaid? Medicare. The ECU dean of school medicine at Dean.
Well,
CEO of Vidant Health. Very, very interested.
Michael Waldron.
Mm-hmm. He's been lobbying for it.
Okay. Yeah. So we need to, Barbie, you're exactly right. This medical cartel, which Dale Falwell, the great treasurer of our state, Dale's got it out for this medical cartel, the healthcare cartel. This is part of it. They want to sterilize our children also. And these vaccinations with really look at the Israel study. Look at that, what it does to young men's hearts with the myocarditis. I mean,
well, if we're going to bring up vaccinations just quickly, something I thought of with the hormone off-label, like these pediatricians and primary care docs at ECU who want to prescribe off-label hormone treatments for kids, hormone drugs for kids, they're off-label. And while we're talking about vaccinations, then what was the outrage about ivermectin again?
It was off-label.
Oh, off-label. So they couldn't give ivermectin, which has a long history of being a very safe drug with minimal side effects, that has changed the lives of third world countries and other countries around the world for its, anti-parasitic ability and prophylaxis. It has been tested for years in adults who have control over their body who may want it, even though it's off-label use. That couldn't happen. No way, no how. And a lot of the same people who are now saying, well, if a kid is deemed by himself or herself to be a gender other than he or she thinks she is, give him an off-label hormone drug that hasn't been tested on kids.
And then again, then the FDA, American College of Pediatrics, 5 European countries won't use now. Like you're going uphill, and we've got a big surprise for ECU coming up. You see, there's a bunch of lawyers and stuff, and they've been looking at this. And when they see things like the doctor who's only 33 years old, just out of school, the doctor running this, when they see her saying in the newspaper, gosh, we can't find anyone around who will give these dangerous drugs. I'm paraphrasing these drugs to any children. So we'll have to do it ourselves. Now, we do have pediatric endocrinologists here at ECU, but they don't want to do anything like this. So it's down to us. When lawyers read stuff like that, they lick their chops.
Yeah, well, that was another one. I mean, I can't speak for those pediatric endocrinologists, and I haven't talked to those pediatric endocrinologists, but that seems to be dog not barking that they're not involved with this.
They're there. They do these hormone treatments in the tiny, tiny bit of indications that the FDA would approve it for use.
Yeah. So it raises a question in my mind. You can't definitively answer it, but it's just something to think about and to ponder.
Definitely. Now I want to put Kelly Weaver back. I'm going to have to say this. So Kelly Weaver, born and raised in Pitt County, etc. And you've got a lot of people that say, wow, I know Kelly. She's a great person, blah, blah, blah. Kelly Weaver wants to bring this into schools, and she wants to bring clinics into schools. And we know what's going to happen there. Do not vote for Kelly Weaver. Very dangerous. So anyway, the training goes on. Tell me that they're not injecting sexual politics into the classroom.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are. Cisgender, trans, two-spirit, blah, 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 blah. Definition. Look, it goes on and on and on. So they're hammering out the fact that there are all these gender identities. Good God, it doesn't end.
Ally. Well, that's the one too. Ally. The last bullet point says a person who works to end oppression by recognizing it's a person, it's singular. So it's by recognizing her own privilege or his own privilege.
By being heterosexual. Okay.
They can't get the grammar correct. Yeah.
At this point, I can't either. I don't know how many definitions for what
I know. But anyway, the oppression of, really, I really don't.
ECU, you've gone down the tubes. We're going to run a Close Your Wallet campaign to ECU. It's already starting a little bit, but you just wait after the election. You wait. I'm not even in the bullpen yet. We haven't even gotten started. We haven't even put in our first wad of chewing gum or chewing tobacco if we were in a baseball game. I'm pretty good. I've watched a few games. All right. Comments, reflections. I'll wager a bet that you better watch your comments, because if you trigger warning someone, the flags, what?
12 teachers, principal, you need to know these flags. There are a bunch of different flags. Okay. Why?
ECU, you need to get these activists under control. We've got activism, medicine, and education here. Coming out. Here again, this is the second coming out. The second coming out slide. They want your kid to come out so that maybe they can make thousands and thousands of dollars off of them giving them medication.
That, or they're so insecure they got to feel important by a kid choosing them to confide in. I don't know. It doesn't.
Where are the parents in these slides?
Yeah. Exactly. Where are the parents in these slides? It's a good
Help
point.
me with coming out. Is this the third one we've seen? Oh, no. Okay. This
is where it says follow their lead, which is basically indicating gender affirmation. Yeah.
Whoever these guys are, I'm about to find out.
One's a principal, one's a teacher. I think I looked them up briefly. I think one's a 5th grade, or one's a elementary school principal, and the other, Mr. Todd, is I believe he's a high school teacher.
I'm gonna look into both Allison and Clinton. I'm gonna look and see why you're so obsessed with sexualizing children. Why are you so obsessed with injecting sexuality into the classroom? Because we're finding, now I'm not going to make an accusation, but we're finding that sometimes there's been cases of some people who really get into this and they don't have the best of intentions. The truth about sexual orientation. There's more truth.
Oh, wait, go back to the Nelson Mandela quote. I'm sorry.
The fifth truth slide.
Sorry, I just like to point out these little things. Please. So here we have a quote from Nelson Mandela. In the second sentence, it says, people must learn to hate, right? Okay, people must learn to hate. So if you say on a slide that heterosexuals oppress everyone else, is that teaching people to hate heterosexuals? Just wondering.
Why, yes.
Open-ended question.
And I just answered it with my open mouth. Yes.
Yeah, right. Okay, you can go on now.
Okay. More truth about sexual orientation. Yeah. Okay. This is hilarious, by the way. I'm going to read this to you. Lesbian, gay, and bisexual individuals work in all types of jobs and they live in all types of situations. I thought they
experiences are not necessarily indicative of one's sexual orientation, because we all talk about our sexual experiences in K through 12 schools all the time.
Yeah, see, I thought lesbian, gay, and bisexual people only worked on Broadway. Let's see, at the Gap.
Someone's gonna like isolate that clip and say you mean
and at the Mac counter. By the way, just for the record, I will not let anyone touch my makeup unless
it's sarcasm.
Oh, please. And I love when I go to the Mac counter, because I do have trans folks that put on my makeup and they do the best job. All true. So, but I know that there are trans people that do a lot of things. They are pilots. They are Caitlyn Jenner. They are, yes. And so they're saying that we're all stereotyping. Everybody knows at least someone that's gay. Most people have someone gay in their own family, right? So
it's very condescending.
I mean,
and it has nothing to do with, teaching 5-year-olds how to read. So,
well, I mean, there you have it. And the truth about gender identity, we already have that. Prejudice and discrimination, this would be a good one. Oppression, systemic and institutional inequity of power. We've heard that before with CRT.
Yeah, this is the intersectionality component of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this is weird. Emma, I'm putting it up without reading. I said, I hope it's not bad. A sperm party for a couple, and they kept repeating it like maniacs. They could just had a baby shower, but they didn't make it hyper queer. Is it performative? And you're getting back to this, right? That it's not performative. I mean, yeah, I know we all know people that can be over the top with things. By and large, we don't find that. By and large, we find that, here's the dirty little secret. Gay parents want their children educated just like non-gay parents. Gay children deserve to have a great future just like non-gay children.
Right. Yeah, and I think there is some performative element to this, and we see it now with this hyper focus on drag queen
Yeah,
story hour and museum hour and all of this stuff, which is total performance based stereotype, right? You know,
exactly. Right. I mean, so how, yeah, you brought up a good point. So they're really turning, they're really kind of bashing the gay community by doing this stuff. Everybody that's gay that I know is mortified, thinking, I hope that the general public does not think that gay people act like that. Of course we don't, but
right. No, it's again, it's this total hypocrisy of, oh, if you've met one trans person, that's it. You've met one. Like, you can't, stereotype. But here they are constantly stereotyping. It makes no sense.
well, it's bull, and it doesn't belong anywhere in school. So here's where we are, just to recap everything. We first in September looked into the safe zone training and said, wow, doesn't look good. That was it. So much hell was raised. We had teachers raising hell. We had psychologists raising hell, dropping us messages threatening us. We're like, wow, this is weird. So we looked into it more and found out that ECU just opened a brand new gender clinic, and they said, we treat with hormones. Now we're dropping 2 more audios. We have dropped 2. We have 2 more to go where it gets even worse what they're doing. Okay. Then we get a Nancy story. Nancy, you make the point they're not even qualified to do this when you look at everyone else that's doing it and the standard of care.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I question that and question the priorities of ECU if they're going to take tax dollars claiming they're invested in rural health care and primary care. And if they look at the numbers, then why this is on their radar, I don't really understand.
It's woke medicine. It's activism and medicine, which is activism, medicine targeted at children behind their parents' back. That's what it is. It's sickening, disgusting, evil.
Yeah.
But I digress. So now we get to the point where we actually get the copies of the training. We were told that we were all wet, and it wasn't anything about sexuality at all whatsoever. It was wall-to-wall sexuality. Everything.
And zodiac signs.
And zodiac signs. Yeah. Those damn Capricorns. Those are the people that have the privilege.
Yeah, I don't know. What is that, September? Nah, Sagittarius?
No, Sagittarius is December. September is a Libra. Yeah. You're right. A lot of people, yeah, that's right. People want to do their job. And oh, by the way, everybody can prosper with a good education.
Right. That's the point. This is education. This is K through 12 education. What they had on that slide had nothing to do with anything regarding that. And it's
given by somebody who wants to sit on your school board. This one, sugar wouldn't melt in her mouth. She is just so, we want to be accepting of everything and blah, blah, blah. She wants to sexualize your children. She wants to groom your children. She wants to bring these clinics in. We're going to find out where she's getting paid. And then this one, so sweet, so loving, so full of it.
True acceptance, true tolerance is doing as much as you possibly can to provide these kids with an amazing education. And this kind of fringe, marginalized academic graduate school queer ideology is not that. It's just not. And it's not proven to decrease suicide rates.
No.
We need to be compassionate to those who are showing confusion and having difficulty with their identity, who are depressed, who are anxious, who are manifesting signs of gender dysphoria, all of that. And so, but on an individual basis, this is a totally different purpose. This is not to prevent they say it's to prevent suicides. It's not proven to prevent suicides.
But the medication,
it's to affirm their own sense of ideology and to insert it into everyone else's family. And like Sloan said, I think honestly, the best thing you've said this hour has been, where are the parents on those slides?
They're nowhere. I see a lot about confidentiality.
I mean, that just dropped the mic right there. I mean, that says it all, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So, one last thing I want to bring up, where the heck is your audience? Trigger warning. Let me tell you something. We have been shadow banned, and we noticed it really picked up in the last 2 months. On Twitter, I was kicked personally off of LinkedIn, number one. Number two, our Instagram account was shut down. We are slowly moving to different platforms. I'm trying to learn TikTok. So we're trying to expand. We're on Rumble as well, but not live, just a day later. We are being shadow banned the heck out of, which is why I need to share this with 10 people, 10 groups, tell 10 people about this, share it. And by the way, on the replays, we get, in a 24-hour period, we used to get about 2,600 views.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's cut down. It can get right around 900 to 1,200. So we need you guys to help us on the replays. We'll be replaying it, but shadow ban is bad. I hope that Elon is going to turn this around.
Yeah, I was reading some about that today. He's going to fire maybe 75% of Twitter's is the estimate, or the rumor mill now going. But yeah, I mean, other pundits that I listen to, that I like to listen to, that are more of this kind of direct common sense approach, are preparing for further shadow banning. And
right now,
yeah, I know certain pundits now that are starting their first 20 minutes on YouTube and to get all those viewers, and then switching to Rumble to get people used to switching to Rumble. So when YouTube finally cancels them, they have developed a following on Rumble. So it's happening to a lot of people, and it's frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we will get the viewers. Please do share. Nancy, thank you again for your work with the American Thinker piece. What was the title of it again?
Oh, geez.
Hold on.
It was about primary care. I don't even remember my own title. Primary care institution prioritizes gender-affirming medicine for children.
Okay. You got to read it. It's from, a surgeon's perspective. So
yeah, I'm not clinically active though. I just need to put that in there.
No. I mean, she could take your appendix out if you had nobody there, like you're in the woods. But
see, here, I wouldn't just go ahead and do it, having been out of training for a while, practical training, because that would be unethical. Kind of like
be in the woods though. If we had nobody else.
Yeah, Survivor or something.
Okay.
Island. But as opposed to someone fresh out of MedPeds residency with no pediatric endocrinology training, prescribing off-label hormone drugs with psychiatric effects.
For example.
Like that, I wouldn't do. That would be unethical. But apparently some people will do it.
We've heard about them. We've heard about them, and we are going to play an audio that will blow your socks off next week. So do stay tuned. Mm-hmm. All right, guys. Early voting. Today's the first day. You got to get out there. You got to vote against Shirley Beasley. Tomorrow might be your first opportunity to take an action against her. She says that she wants taxpayer dollars to go to kids. In particular, she singled out Black kids.
I saw that video.
Racist.
Feed, like I saw that video, and it didn't even make sense. Like she was just kind of rambling on from a piece of paper. I was not impressed.
Well, either she doesn't know and should know that's scary, or she knows and it's scary. The fact of the matter is, she is not fit to hold office. You must.
It was not. Well, yeah, I mean, you can disagree and think that that other people have wacko ideas or whatever, but there's still people who are able to put it into a continuous, logical, as much as they can, speech. But this was not that.
Well,
I don't know what it was.
I don't either, but what it sounded like to me is she's advocating for eugenics.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you guys. Get out there and vote. You got an opportunity to do your part to reverse this. We know that one party is pushing the hell out of this. I got in a tiff with Steve Bannon on Monday. I'm like, no, all Democrats aren't that way. He's like, Sloan, they're pushing it. So, you know, our job is to make sure that Democrats know this is a radical agenda that their leaders are pushing, and we've got to push back. Got to do your part. Got to go vote.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Have a good night, guys. Thank you.